A lot went down, but the biggest thing that went down was the Washington Wizards trade John Wall and a first round pick to Houston Rockets for Russell Westbrook. This is huge. And this is where we'll start. You have to look at this trade in two different angles. In fact, we're going to look at this trade in two different angles. First, let's look at the pure basketball angle. A lot of people want to say who won, who lost the trade. Of course, Houston gets John Wall. They get a 2023 first round pick. The Wizards get Russell Westbrook, a new point guard to match or to play alongside Bradley Beal. I'm not going to say who won or who lost. I'm going to say how this works basketball-wise on the floor. On the floor, let's just talk about Washington first. What did John Wall do best when he was healthy? What John Wall did best when he was healthy, he was the fastest player. Now, granted, John Wall has not been healthy since 2018. I think December 2018. Now, of course, we've seen the mixtape or the basketball scrimmages he's done this summer, which, of course, I hope any player is healthy, but he hasn't played basketball as far as in the NBA since, I think, December 2018. What John Wall did best was not only control the tempo of the game for the Wizards, but he was an incredible assist man. The way he used his speed and athleticism to get to the paint made it created offensive opportunities for other players. You then, the defense would have to shrink so John Wall doesn't get easy layups, and then you have open 3-point shooters. That's how people like an older Paul Pierce, Bradley Beal early in his career. That's how people like that was able to flourish. John Wall was, due to his speed and athleticism and his innate ability to finish at the rim, it allowed outside shooters to flourish. Exit John Wall, insert Russell Westbrook. How does this change? One thing that I believe John Wall did that Russell Westbrook doesn't do is John Wall, to me, did not penetrate or did not drive to the rim looking to score. He could score, and don't get me wrong, him scoring was not a problem. Him shooting was a problem. He just like Russell Westbrook couldn't shoot, but John Wall looked to get other players open. He looked to get other players involved. The difference between John Wall and Russell Westbrook is Russell Westbrook drives. Now, Russell Westbrook plays with a tenacity that nobody in the league plays. That's one thing that you can't say about Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook plays hard every single play. He doesn't take a play off. That's just how Russell Westbrook is. And that's one thing that a lot of people love about Russell Westbrook. He's not going to cheat you. But the thing is this. Like I said, John Wall created or drove looking to pass. Russell Westbrook drives looking to score. If that doesn't make sense, I'll say it to you like this. When John Wall would drive to the rim, his first instinct would be to look to see which defender crept in or which defender squeezed down, and whoever's defender that is, more than likely John Wall will kick it out. I think there was a year or two John Wall. In fact, I think almost every year John Wall has been in the top 3 or 4 in assists. John Wall, he likes to get players involved. Russell Westbrook, while he is the triple-double leader, we all know how, leading had 3 years in a row he averaged triple-double. While he can pass the ball, it's a lot different. It's different when you're searching for passes or when they just happen. And with Russell Westbrook, they just happen. Again, John Wall drives to get people open. Russell Westbrook drives to score. How does this work for Washington? First and foremost, Washington doesn't have, outside of Bradley Beal, Washington doesn't have that player that can put the ball on the ground and get to the cup. I know Washington thought Troy Brown was going to be that. He wasn't, or he hasn't been. And outside of that, I mean, you have Ish Smith, but I mean, that's Ish Smith. And you, outside of one thing that Washington struggled with last year due to John Wall being hurt and the pieces that were around Bradley Beal, it was Bradley Beal and nothing. That's why you saw Bradley Beal get 50-point games, a lot of 40-point games, and they're still lost. I mean, like the Wizards would still lose those games. It's just, it was really only Bradley Beal in terms of creating offense. And because of that, Bradley Beal, his defense suffered because he exerts so much energy on the offensive side of the ball. Insert Russell Westbrook. Now, no. Russell Westbrook is not the defender. He's not a lockdown defender. He does give you a lot of energy, and but he does not give you the defense that, let's say, a healthy healthy before injury John Wall would. Now, trading for Russell Westbrook could work for Washington. And the only way that it could work for Washington is if Russell Westbrook understands that he is not the center of this table. The center of the table is Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal averaged, I think, second in the league in points last year. He's one of the best scorers in the league. And the team, which is one reason why John Wall isn't there anymore, the team decided that that Bradley Beal was going to be, they're going to build the team around Bradley Beal, and John Wall didn't fit in that at this point anymore. So the only way that this will work is if Russell Westbrook understands it's not 1A, 1B. It's not, some nights is Bradley, some nights is me. No. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Russell Westbrook is not a great player. But what I'm saying is Russell Westbrook came to a team where Bradley Beal is the star, and you are here to be the complement to Bradley Beal. I'm not saying don't look for your shot, even though statistically Russell Westbrook has been one of the worst shooters in NBA history. I'm not saying, pass up all your shots. I'm not saying Bradley Beal has to take every shot. But what I'm saying is, we've seen with Russell Westbrook. In fact, we've seen a couple times when Russell Westbrook has played with a star. You had KD. You had Paul George. You had Victor Oladipo. Like, Russell Westbrook, while he is able to play alongside the star, he hasn't really shown an ability to adapt to that superstar. I believe he thinks, and don't get me wrong, I understand that Russell Westbrook is a great player, but I think in his mind he believes that players have to adapt to him, which isn't the case. Hell, yes, he was better than Paul George. Yes, he was better than Victor Oladipo, but let's focus on when he played with Kevin Durant. He thought he was the best player on that team, which was far from the truth. Like, this is not going to work if Russell Westbrook does not understand that, okay, I can't shoot 20, 25 times a game, especially if I'm only hit 2 shots. I understand I can't look off Bradley Beal. I can't, I got to get him involved. Like, that's what's going to have to happen. So I do believe that the Wizards did get I believe Russell Westbrook will be good for the Wizards if he understands exactly what his role is on the Wizards. He's not there to be the Russell West, he's not there to be the OKC Russell Westbrook after Kevin Durant left. He's there to be a complimentary player. That is a great player. Don't get me wrong, a great complimentary player for Bradley Beal. Now, will that happen? I don't know. I know reports have come out saying that he was upset about his reputation of being a bad teammate. I do understand that. I believe the training camp started or practice started yesterday or 2 days ago, and Russell Westbrook's first day, he was 2 hours early to set the tone. I get that. I like to hear that, and of course, seeing Russell Westbrook wearing number 4 is a little. It was funny. A report came out and said Russell Westbrook had to get permission from Marcin Gortat to wear number 4. Boy, if you don't get the look, I understand Gortat played for Washington for 150,000 years, but I'll be damned if I gotta ask Marcin Gortat if I'm Russell Westbrook, can I hold the number 4? Man, get out of my face with that, bro. Come on. All I'm saying is this trade can work for Washington in his favor. I do think that now Washington, if they're able to coexist, Washington does have arguably the best backcourt in the East, and I believe, on the top I will say probably a top 5 backcourt in the NBA in general, especially this year, seeing Klay Thompson not being there. And some injuries, I do think that they possibly have a top 5 backcourt. But like I said, they have to gel together, which I do think that this training camp is very important, seeing as though it's not like you're dropping a small complimentary. It's not like you're adding Bertans, which Washington did pay a handsome amount to stay. But it's not like you're adding him to a piece. No, you're adding a person that has been the centerpiece of a team that is an multi-time All-Star, that will be a Hall of Famer. You're gonna have to gel with this person. You're gonna have to understand Bradley Beal's tendencies. Bradley Beal's gonna have to understand your tendencies. You're gonna have to understand, okay, where does Bradley Beal like the ball? Where do I like the ball? You have to gel together. So I do think that training camp is definitely going to be important for them. And I think that, Washington gets in a very dynamic player, one of the most dynamic players the league has ever seen. And I do think I do think that it can work for Washington. Now, what is their ceiling? I have Washington's ceiling now with Russell Westbrook more than likely a first round, maybe second round exit. But I do think that this definitely, especially in the East, makes them a playoff team. So, you have to, there's a lot of brightness when it comes to Russell Westbrook. It does look weird, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of upside Russell Westbrook being in Washington. And I also think that Russell Westbrook just needed a fresh start. Playing OKC for as long as he did, then playing with Houston from a style that we know didn't fit him and James Harden together, going to Washington with Scotty Brooks, the coach where he had his most success. I do think that this, hopefully we're getting a new and improved. I'm not going to say new and improved. We're getting a Russell Westbrook who understands what it is and is ready to play. So, and now let's look on the Houston side. And with John Wall, let me first say this. You saw a lot of, I guess, for lack of a better term, you saw a lot of hurt from Washington Wizards fans on social media because John Wall means a lot to the city. John Wall means a lot to the DMV, not only with the charitable events that he does, giving back to the community. But, he was a number 1 overall pick for Washington. No matter what he said, no matter what he did, he remained loyal to the team. And Washington, they have a way of wrapping their arms around players that they understand love the city, and they understand love, good players, 1, and 2, players that they understand love where they are. Like John Wall is one of those players where the joke is he's a Rose Bar Hall of Famer because he was at Rose Bar a lot. But like I said, John Wall just loved the city. Hell, I'm not saying he was a clubber like that, but Gilbert Arenas is one of those people that the city just loves. Caron Butler is one of those people. But John Wall is somebody that the city loved, and John Wall is somebody that DC was ready to see come back. Like I said, we haven't seen him play in the NBA since December 2018. That's 2 years. And I think that, like I said, it was just hurtful to see. This is we watched John Wall grow up as far as his basketball life. We watched him grow up, and it was tough. It was tough to see him go. Now, that is just the emotional side of this. The emotional side, of course, you don't want to see John Wall traded. You don't want to see John Wall leave. You love John Wall. We get that. It is what it is. But let's look at the basketball aspect. One, Houston definitely looked up and got that 2023. Not looked up. Houston definitely was smart to get that 2023 first round pick, because we don't know what Washington's going to look like in 2023. We also don't know where they'll be in the draft. But here's what John Wall, and here's what I say. John Wall, I said before, John Wall plays a lot like Russell Westbrook, but a lot different from Russell Westbrook. And when I say a lot different, like I said, Russell Westbrook drives looking to score. John Wall drives looking to pass the ball. Now, the only thing I have to wait and see, just like I have to wait and see how Russell Westbrook gels with Bradley Beal, I really have to see how John Wall gels with James Harden, because as we saw last year, as much best friends that Russell Westbrook is with James Harden, they just didn't fit. James Harden's a ball dominant player who likes to take at least 30 shots a game. Russell Westbrook's one of those players that love to take at least 25, 30 shots a game. John Wall, while he's not one of those players, he is a very ball dominant guard who will like to dribble until the last second and kick to somebody to pass or kick to somebody to score. So I have to see, is John Wall going to be able to, it's not just John Wall, it's John Wall and Russell or James Harden going to be able to alter their games enough where they can play with each other. As we've just seen, James Harden was not able to do that with Russell Westbrook. Let's see if he's able to do that with John Wall, who passes a little more, but still does not shoot as well. He doesn't shoot at the standard that I guess Houston has shot the past few years, even though Mike D'Antoni is gone now. We'll just have to see how it matriculates. I think that this can be a really good pickup for Houston. Like I said, you have a dynamic player like John Wall. You have a dynamic player like James Harden. People forget Boogie Cousins. Of course, we have to see him get back to health. But he, at one point, was arguably the best center in the league. Like, Houston has pieces. Now, they did lose a lot of pieces, but Houston has really good pieces, and I'm just excited to see. I'm excited to see exactly how it's going to work. I'm excited to see how Coach Silas is going to use all these pieces. And I do think that on the basketball standpoint, this trade definitely works as far as, John Wall and Russell Westbrook. I do think this trade definitely helps both parties. Now, we'll have to see. It really depends on how they gel with the star of the team, how John Wall gels with James Harden and how Russell Westbrook gels with Bradley Beal. If they're able to if both parties is able to come together and make magic, then we'll see.